God made the mountains.
God made the mountains.
God made the lakes.
God made the lakes.
God made the referee.
God made the referee.
We all make mistakes.
We all make mistakes.
Oh, that was kind of fun. We all know that our eyes are critical for various kinds of endeavors, don't we? Particularly for officiating sports events. After all, sporting events are critical to our international enterprise. I mean, we take combat and we localize it into something called sport. And then we hire these officials to make sure that everything is done fairly, whatever that means. I'm going to tell you what it means. It means the application of the C principle. Now, it's nice that we have one of these right here, because sometimes we wish that sporting officials would use one to keep an eye on the play, don't we? How many of you watched the Chelsea-Arsenal game this past weekend? You know precisely what I'm talking about, don't you? Well, here is the C principle in a nutshell. The C principle, by the way, is not useful only for sporting events, but it's also useful for parenting. It's also useful for teaching. It's also useful for learning. Because if we know something about the use of our eyes, and we know how to put that sense into operation so that it can benefit what we want to do, we're going to find things that are a whole lot simpler than we thought. So, what is the C principle? The S stands for safety. Whatever we do, we must ensure that all our actions, all our judgments ensure the safety of those people around us, ensure the safety of ourselves. Because without safety, we can't have the other two, the other E and the other E, that complete the C principle. So the laws of whatever sporting event we're talking about were written to ensure the safety of everybody playing. The laws of the Geneva Convention were written to ensure the, isn't it ironic, safety of those who were involved in the enterprise. So in football, we have 17 laws. All of those laws are written to ensure that everything is done fairly, so that, people can look at the contest and leave regardless of the outcome, having enjoyed whatever happened. So if the official who is hired to officiate the game knows the laws of the game, he can take a step toward ensuring the safety of all of those people who were there. The laws prescribe certain things about the apparel, what players can wear, what players cannot wear. It talks about the safety of the field of play. You have to make sure that there are no dangerous objects on the field. All of that's done to ensure the safety of the players. Parents do the same thing, don't they? Anytime we take our children out for whatever it is, our number one goal is to ensure the safety of those people. Because, hey, that's our future, isn't it? The students in the classroom are no different. We have to ensure that everything is done safely in a classroom. If it's not, then there's not going to be an opportunity for learning. Safety is critical. In a classroom, on a football pitch, worldwide. So, the S, safety. That's the first part of the C principle. So what's the second part? Well, the second part is kind of peculiar because we want to call it something like equality. Well, there's really no such thing as equality, is there? I mean, look around you. You find someone who is just as equal to your size and your weight and your intellectual capacity as you are? Well, of course the answer is no. We're all different. Our brains are shaped differently. Our brains are wired differently. Our brains want to do different kinds of things. Some people like to attach numbers to meaning. Some people like to just attach meaning to people. Let the people provide the meaning. So let's not call it equality, because that's a myth. Only in the abstract world of mathematics do we have equality. So let's call it something like equity. Is equity fair? We can talk about equivalences. So as we're looking at whatever laws are written for whatever game we're playing, we can talk about ensuring that there is something we call equivalency or equity on the field of play. And whatever we do as referees, we have to ensure that what's done for the red team is done for the blue team, and vice versa, depending on those nuances that develop on the field of play. We've got safety taken care of. We know precisely what has to happen on the field of play to be safe. Now we're looking at something that's a little more in the abstract. What is it that says these two teams are equitable in their distribution of talent, and their distribution of creativity, and their distribution of their own personal desires to complete whatever enterprise they want to do? Okay, so let's call it equivalency or equity. So we've got safety, we've got equity. Now, it presumes that you, as an official, know the laws of the game. If you don't know the laws of the game, how can you ensure that the play is conducted fairly? Well, can you? No, you can't. All you're doing is guessing. And there's enough guesswork that goes on in classrooms. There's enough guesswork that goes on in households. There's enough guesswork that goes on the field of play in football, any kind of sport, whatever it is. There's enough guesswork that goes on the geopolitical sphere. Why? Because we don't know what the laws are. We can't come to an agreement about what constitutes the laws that ensure, if they're applied properly, fair play. Okay, so let's see. We've got physical safety down now, don't we? We've got equivalency now down. Now, what's the other part of the C principle? I've mentioned it already. For those people who are listening, I've mentioned the third part of the C principle. What is it? Well, why do we go to sporting events? We go because we love to see what's happening on the field of play. And sometimes we hope to see some misconduct. Sometimes we like to see players dance with misconduct. Because when we have misconduct, we can call on the laws to ensure that that player is properly punished. Okay. So, we've got safety, we've got equity, and we've got this desire to see something wonderful, something marvelous on the field of play, sometimes resulting in misconduct, but it's all artificial, isn't it? I guess. Although some players suffer broken bones and some players bleed. Well, I guess some players could die, on a football pitch. It's not like the real world that goes beyond the field of play. It's not like that geopolitical sphere where people aren't quite sure what the laws are that govern their behavior. It's not quite like that. It's a little more artificial. And that's why we can enjoy the contest. And of course, enjoyment is that third part of the C principle. That's why we go to sporting events. That's why we like to see players dance with misconduct, because it's fun. And of course, it's all artificial. It's not like the real world in which we live. We take 90 minutes out and we enjoy ourselves for those 90 minutes, and we enjoy it more if the team we really liked won. Now, having seen lots of football, there are some times when the teams that I don't like, Chelsea, when they win, I don't feel bad if the game was played well. And that's the world of artificial reality. We saw that players were ensured or guaranteed by the referee the safety that they deserved. We saw that the referee knew the laws well enough to apply them intelligently to ensure that no player felt he was being cheated. And because all of that was applied, I left the field of play, or I left the stadium thinking, oh my God, that was a great game, even if Chelsea won. Okay? So, the C principle. How important is it? Well, it's vital. Because first of all, if we don't ensure that everything is done safely wherever we are, whatever our enterprise, then we're not going to enjoy what's happening. When we take our children for a walk in the park, or, God forbid, to sit for an SAT test, we have to make sure that we get them there safely. We go through the park ensuring that there are no rabid dogs ready to tear off their limbs, or hungry cheetahs ready to devour them as they run. We have to ensure that we traffic through the highways and the roadways to get our child to the SAT site, to take that that enterprise there, to help them get where they want to go. We have to make sure that everything is done safely. And we have to ensure that, we have provided them the equitable things that will allow them to engage their enterprise successfully, or as successfully as they can. Now, if all of that's done, we can enjoy what we're doing. We can enjoy our parenting. If all of that's done, we can enjoy watching our child dance in the park. We can enjoy our child as he matriculates or she matriculates to some college. We can enjoy them graduating from that university. In the classroom, it's no different. We have to ensure that things are done fairly. We just heard when Nezgi was speaking a few minutes ago that some papers are returned, there is this feeling of dissatisfaction. Oh my God, we've been cheated. I deserved at least 5 more points. Oh, I don't want an 89, I want a 90. Or I want a 91, whatever the case might be. Well, there's a sense that something wasn't done quite fairly. And so we have to resolve what that is. And so if we all engage our enterprises thinking about safety, equity, fair play, we can ensure that all of the people around us have a sense of enjoyment in whatever that activity was. We might not like the outcomes, but at least we can say, okay, I feel kind of different than I did when I first started this activity. But at least we'll know that, hey, everything was done fairly, everything was done safely, and because of that, we have a deliberate hope for the future. The C principle is vital. We know how important our eyes are. And my little gimmick in coming up here blindfolded was just to emphasize that. I mean, we're created with them. We're created with all our multi-senses. And we have to make sure that all of those multi-senses work together to inform who we are so that we can make proper choices about our future. And we can do so if we keep in mind the C principle. Thank you.